All right, well, cell phone time says 7 o'clock, so if you want to get started. Is that right? Okay, welcome to the Tuesday, December 12th, 2017 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I'll start with roll call on the left.
Mike Gillen. Rashid.
Sean Peterson.
Carla Stardings.
Lou Sawyer.
Charlene Hill.
Ryan Bray.
Sonia Chapman.
Okay, and I will appoint Charlene for Lindsay. There are no public hearings this evening, so we'll go right to the regular meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. Lou, are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
There are not.
Okay, none.
Oh, well, maybe Ross has one.
Oh,
I thought the chassis trucks on here were 649 on 962.
It is, we're gonna get to that.
Oh, all right. Didn't mean to rush ahead.
okay. So we have citizen participation. So this is opportunity for anybody in the community who has a comment or question for the commission. This is your opportunity. Okay. Hearing none. Moving on to unfinished old business. Z 2017-1235, continuation of WE 85 Moosup LLC, requesting a site plan review for site improvements to 85 and 90 Moosup Pond Road to include loading areas, access drives, parking and material storage areas, entrance crossing area, access driveways, and parking for 962 trucks or chassis on property located at 85 and 90 Moosup Pond Road, Wauregan, map 13, block 85, lots 3 and 10, I-1 zoning district. I have recused myself from this application, so I will turn this part of the meeting over to John Myers.
Okay, and I will appoint Grant for Carla. Please
May
proceed.
we proceed? Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm Valerie Farrell, representing the applicant. As you know, with previous appearance in front of this commission, we made a full presentation. Tonight, we're really here to ask for your approval. The application is, of course, as you know, is of right because it's industrial. We have obtained wetland approval, and we're looking to proceed. If you would like, and just at the commission's pleasure, we could do a brief presentation to summarize or open to questions or whatever you wish to do.
Maybe you just wanna go over the plan as you revised it to
Sure.
649 parking
Yes,
spaces
yeah.
rather than the 962.
As you recall, we've done, part of our wetlands analysis, we had done a considerable amount of paring back. We also wanted to ensure that the stormwater system would work. And as you know, I think you saw originally our very first appearance, the Morgan really wanted 1,000 trucks, and you saw the big thing that they wanted us to try to squeeze on there. And we've been paring back ever since. So we do now have 649 in the application. So John and Dan, do you want to just make 5 minutes, just a quick little overview of particularly the changes we've made and where we've pulled it back from the residential areas and all the details related? So we have John Wagenblatt to your left, Dan Imig to your right, both from LRC, the engineering firm that's representing Win Stanley. We also have in the back Eric Nelson, who's the asset manager for Win Stanley.
Good evening. My name is John Oliver, principal of the LRC Group. To give you a quick recap, the 90 and 85 Moosup Pond Road. I'll start with 90, which is we refer to as the north lot. Originally, this is what Val was talking about, where we originally went in with an application of 962 spaces, and through once we realized the impact on wetlands and I'm sorry?
This is phase 1 only.
Yep. We decided to go through and phase the chassis lots, the chassis north lot. Go from
Well, we've cut it back first, but we also like to phase it.
phase it, right. So our first phase was to build 500, or make room for 500 chassis, which would be, and then using the same entrance, which is directly opposite the existing west entrance to the site. Can everybody see this? Oh, okay. I apologize. And phase 2 was to build an additional 149 for a total of 649. I'm just checking my number, was
Yeah,
649?
it's 649, yeah.
649
Right.
for a full build-out. And with doing that, we were proposing a berm, an intermittent, I guess the best way to describe it is more like an intermittent berm along the south side of All Hallows Road, and the reason why we're proposing that, because All Hallows is fairly flat, we need to allow water to drain off, and we are proposing landscaping along this area in here, along the berm, and it also falls within that buffer, the buffer for the zone. And because there's a lot of topsoil on this, one of the issues that we had when we were doing the full build-out was what to do with topsoil. But now that we have some room, we are proposing a berm, I guess more of a hill or a berm of topsoil that will be seeded for, and will actually provide more of a screening too in this area, coming from traveling south on All Hallows and giving a little bit more screening for the residents right here at the corner, the northeast corner of Depot and All Hallows. There is a proposed 8-foot fence around the parking area with the gate, lighting, the lighting,
Full cut off.
full cut
Yeah,
off.
full cut off.
And it's fairly sparse. It's not lighting where you can go in, there's no lighting within the site, within the middle of the site, except along, the only place we're showing it is along the perimeter. And we are proposing, I have my notes, give me 1 second.
What are you checking?
What we were proposing on the full cutoff LED.
Oh, yeah, LED full cut off with the flange on the residential side, so
Right.
we don't have any scatter into the residential side. So
Thank
we
you.
won't have upward and we won't have sideward, so all the light is reflected onto the site and that's it.
Yep. Proposed, the lens height is 20 feet is what we're proposing for what's allowed in the regulations. Moving on to the south side of the parcel is, there's going to be 3 proposed additions, or 1 addition and 2 outbuildings. One will be an outbuilding that's going to be fall pretty much on this match line. It's going to be a 8x8, I believe, guardhouse, 64 square foot guardhouse. There is going to be a customer pickup building that's proposed right off of the west entrance. And then a small, actually I take that back, there's actually 3 buildings. There is a check-in enclosure proposed for the southwest corner of off the southwest corner of the building, and then a small addition to the building, which will be accessed from inside the building for storage. The general flow will be, trucks will be coming in from the west, coming in and then turning in to the south along the west driveway. We are proposing enlarging that driveway width-wise. I believe it's 24 feet. We're proposing on lining it up to 28 feet in width. And what will happen, the trucks will come in, and delivery trucks, that is, they'll come around the side, and deliveries are all in the back. And then also the chassis deliveries, before chassis come over here, they come into the south side, go through an unloading process, and they come in, usually 3, piggyback together, and then they'll be inspected in this enclosure, and then eventually will make their way over here, and then as needed, it'll be brought over for going through the process of whatever the end product will be, whether it's a flatbed, a box truck. And we do have pictures of their products if you are interested.
So the biggest change is obviously the scale down of the parking, and with that, of course, you can't see it, is the scale down of the stormwater. And Dan Imig is here, he did the stormwater. Dan, just to reiterate, we've contained the water, we've got 0 runoff provisions according to the stormwater manual. Any other things you want to add to that?
No, you put the highlights, for town regulations, 100-year event, no additional runoff post-construction.
Okay. And we've actually captured, what we found as we were doing our hydrological models, that I think we're capturing water that might be coming off the road from DOT storm, which, is not ours, but we've got it, and we've got to do something with it. So, as the models have evolved and we finished up the site planning course, it's something, it's on our site, we've got to deal with it. So we've had to deal with that as well. So I think that pretty much sums up the real machinations of it. We are continuing to negotiate for that middle tenant. It could be manufacturing again, or it could be some warehouse distribution. It could be a mix. Wauregan is pretty darn excited about moving forward, and we continue to work with them and, of course, with the town. So, any other questions, or?
I know you said this, but I forgot. How many times is there going to be traffic crossing Moose Pond Road from the chassis parking lot?
On
to
a
the
daily
main building?
basis, we're thinking the count is, and let me just double check, because what we've done to answer some of these questions, we actually put the CEO and the folks right on the phone, and we double checked, but I believe they said, days of operation, Monday through Friday, no weekends, no shifts, scheduled trucking, the materials, crossing, I just want to make sure, because I thought they said, okay. What is the volume of trucks crossing per day, queuing and idling? We can dictate contracts so there's no queuing and idling at night. They'll come in during the day, that's actually when they prefer the deliveries to occur. Depending on the volume at peak, they think 10 or 15 a day.
10 or 15. So where's the queuing going on?
Inside as they come through.
Inside the...
Yeah, and that's why
Oh, okay.
that's exactly why the site has been designed the way it is. So
Down here.
we just get them in there and we get them in there.
Because I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
sure. Other questions?
The detention basin, does it rely at all on infiltration, or is it strictly detention?
Strictly detention.
Yeah, I think that's where we wanted it because
We were scared of the high groundwater table,
Yeah.
so just as a conservative measure, we assumed that they would not infiltrate. In reality, they will, but they've been designed as if they didn't. So they're technically over-designed.
right, and that's a good question because obviously if you know the site, I mean, it's flat. There's wetlands and there's a high water table. So right from the get-go, we were like, yeesh, how do we deal with this? So we had to impart as much of the conservative assumptions as we could, just because that's the best way to go. So if we knew if it worked under those conditions, then we would be fine with it. So from the get-go, poor Dan had to work the numbers, but.
The traffic studies you haven't done, how far are they progressed? Are they still held up?
No, the traffic studies were submitted when we last made our appearance.
Yeah, we've had the traffic study for a couple of months.
Okay, so it's all set.
Yes, and Asta
As
won't
far
look
as
at it,
state goes?
yeah, Asta won't even look at it until they get town approval.
Right, we're not allowed to go to ASTA until we receive town blessings.
Okay.
But I will say that Jim Rivera, who you met last time, he is trying to do his homework and get ready so that when it comes to the details of the town, it's not dragged out. We'll just get right to it. And we obviously want to get in there as quick as we can, because you never know, what they'll want or if we need to do it at once. So we'll be submitting this.
The surface treatment of the north lot. I know that went back and forth between crushed stone and asphalt.
Good question, yes. One of the questions that came up, because we were just using this term gravel, okay? But someone raised the issue about, well, gravel, would it be, dusty? And, well, it could be, and there's certainly provisions on site to keep the dust down. But what we've done is we've gone proposing millings. Because what happens is the millings settle and they get, packed down, and they don't hold the type of dust that gravel does. Because, you know, gravel's got more, I don't want to say it's more porous, but there's more surface area to track things, and so when you have trucks or wind, it tends to stir things up. The millings also could be treated in the event, let's say we have a drought, and, you know, things are getting dusty out there. Believe me, Wauregan likes to keep things clean. They don't want dust stirred up, not just because of neighbors, but just because. And so there will be provisions to apply, I forgot what it is. There's a name for it, there's a brand name for it. It's applied. But again, under drought conditions, or in some case where we think that, you know, are we gonna have a dust storm, you know, we're gonna have a hurricane, maybe not, but certainly under those drought conditions, you can sort of tell as you go through the parking lot, if we're seeing a lot of deposition. I think they can also tell, the maintenance facility managers have told us that, you know, as it accumulates, they can also tell because it might be depositing on the chassis. So they'll be just looking out for that, and that will be something that they have to manage.
When it comes to the millings, when we redid the bridge on Lathrop Road and moved traffic from one side of the road to the other, we didn't pave that first side of the road, but we used millings there. Within a couple of days with the traffic, it was hard as could be, and there was no dust whatsoever. I know it's a much smaller area, but you're getting larger volume of traffic going over it, and there was no issues at all.
Right.
They also use millings at the Old Meadows in Hartford, the concert venue. Very large parking lot,
Oh,
and during the summertime, there's really no issues, and I don't think they apply any treatment to it.
Yeah, I can see it. Operationally, dust would be probably the biggest issue.
Nobody wants dust.
Yeah, but I think it's been addressed with the millings, so. In reviewing the plans, they did have a couple of minor issues that I asked them to deal with in the plans. They've changed the plans to accommodate that, and the plans are in conformance with all of our applicable regulations for this type of site. I would recommend that the plan be approved.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, can I speak? As
I think she can,
selectman?
as a
Yeah.
selectman and ex officio member of the commission.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to let you know that the Board of Selectmen really is looking for you to approve this, and we think this is a very important part of the economic development for Plainfield, so we're urging you to support it as well. And Kathy would be here if she could, but she can't tonight, so I'm here for her.
Thanks, Judy. Okay. Any questions? Okay. I would entertain a motion regarding this application.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Forward.
Yeah.
Thanks, we appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John. So I will retake my seat and thank you, Grant, for filling in for me. Yes.
Sonia, can you make sure that you change it
Yes.
to 649 spaces rather than 62?
All right, so moving on, new business, of which there is none. So moving to reviewing and acting on the minutes from 10:10 and 11:14. The 10:10 meeting minutes cannot be acted on, as we do not have the members that were in attendance in the meeting. However, if a member would listen to the tape, which we determined is about 50 minutes long, you can qualify yourself to vote on it next time. So if that's something a member is willing to do, we can act on those minutes at our next meeting. So looking at the November 14th minutes, did anybody have any modifications or changes to those minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve this written.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, minutes are approved. Moving on to correspondence.
Okay. At the telecommunications facility at Unity Road, our highway garage, they're looking to modify that existing permit. We got notified by the siting council. A couple of times we've discussed Wyndham Solar's application for a solar farm behind the highway garage on Route 14A. They've applied to the siting council for a declaratory ruling, which was subsequently denied because they weren't, their application wasn't quite complete. So they're still working on that. From the Wetland Commission, we had a complaint that Central Auto Group's parking lot adjacent to Putnam Bank, when that was approved by both the Wetland Commission and Planning and Zoning, it was approved with the condition that it's only for new vehicles. They're storing used vehicles in there too, so I sent them a letter stating that, what the permit said, and give me a call so we can talk about it. If he doesn't, very soon, then we'll get a notice of violation, so I'll just hope he calls. We received some copies of On Common Ground from the Connecticut Realtors Association. There's a couple of decent articles in there if anybody wants to read it. Let me just keep this in the file. And that's it for me.
All right, report from zoning enforcement.
Nothing new to report on the New Stone appeal, and I don't have anything else to report on tonight.
Okay. And report from planning and engineering.
Tomorrow, we have the bid opening for the engineering and prefabrication of the River Street Bridge in Moosup. So we're going to move forward with that. And that's really all I have.
All right. So we have 2 items under other. Item A is the election of officers. So given the recent election, we had to wait until the new term started, which was 11/21 after our meeting. So the election of officers is for 2 years. So I'll open the floor for nominations for officers.
I nominate Carla Desjardins for chair.
Second. Okay, any other nominations for that? Okay, I would nominate John Meyer for vice chair and also Sean Peterson for secretary.
I'll second Vice President John.
Okay,
I'll second. Sean.
okay. Any other nominations? So I'll entertain a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we'll take action on the slate of candidates. So I'll entertain a motion to vote on Carla Desjardins chair, John Meyer vice, and Sean Peterson secretary.
I should approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing no opposition, congratulations officers on your 2-year term. And then we also have to vote on our 2018 meeting schedule. So I think everybody should have a copy of the schedule. If you don't, let me know. So we're sticking with the second Tuesday of every month. And then there is a change. I think it's in, oh no, they all look good. So there's no changes for holidays.
No, there wasn't.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion on adopting the calendar.
I'll make a motion to adopt the calendar as written.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the meeting schedule is approved, and that just leaves us adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that one.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have great holidays, and see you in the new year.